Hey Raiders, Fish here. So I finally did the expedition in Ark Raiders. Yep, I waved goodbye to my rooster and left the Rust Belt. Even though I was confused about so many things, I did it anyway. I had enough coins and resources, so I decided to proceed. I did it just so I could learn about it more by doing it myself and try to answer all the questions about expedition in Ark Raiders. When you reach level 20, you will see something called Expedition. Expedition is a recurring project in Ark Raiders. Doing an expedition means your raider permanently leaves the Rust Belt. To do it, you will need to spend time and commit a lot of resources to prepare your caravan. Once you depart, most of your current progress will reset, and you will start fresh with a new raider. However, you won't lose everything. Some rewards and bonuses carry over to your next raider and some stay active until the next expedition cycle. The more constantly you send raiders on expedition, the stronger these advantages can become over time. But now you might be curious and confused at the same time. You might say, why would I reset my progress? Wait, I lose this stuff? What do I lose if I do the expedition? And what do I get for doing expedition? Is it even worth doing expedition? Do I have to do the expedition? And when is the right time to do it? Don't worry, in this video I'm going to explain exactly how expedition works in Ark Raiders, what actually resets, what you exactly get for doing it, how skill points are calculated, and whether you should even do it in the first place. So what is Expedition? Expedition unlocks at level 20. Think of it as Ark Raiders version of a prestige system. It's a recurring project that lasts for 69 days as of making this video. When you do the expedition, your raider leaves the Rust Belt permanently. You start over with a brand new raider, but you don't start from zero. You trade your progress for long-term advantages, and that's where most people get confused. Let's understand how expedition is completed. Expedition is not instant, it's a project with 6 stages: foundation, core systems, frameworks, outfitting, load stage, and departure. Each stage requires committing materials permanently. Once you put items in, you can't take them back. After all stages are completed, you can depart during a departure window. Don't worry, if you're not able to do the expedition due to a lack of resources, you can always continue where you left up on the next expedition window and your committed materials and resources won't be lost. So what do you lose after doing expedition? When you depart on expedition, most of your progression resets. These include stats upgrade progress, inventory items, blueprints, all your blueprints will be wiped, coins, player level, skill points, rather than works of progress, quest. Basically, your active raider progression is wiped. This is why expedition feels scary, but here's what you keep and get from doing an expedition. You keep your long-term account progression like unlocked maps, codex entries, raider tokens, crate, raider decks progress, cosmetics, trials, active leaderboards, personal event progress, merits, bonus stash space on from expedition, bonus skill points on from expedition. So it's not a full wipe, it's a strategic reset. Bonus stash space and bonus skill points are the two most important permanent benefits for which people do expeditions. For example, by doing this expedition, I got 12 extra permanent stash slots. If you remember, when you first started Ark Raiders, you started with 64 base slots. But this time, I'm starting with 76 base slots. So now, if I max my stash level again, it won't be limited to 280 slots, now it will be 292. And for bonus skill points, this time I will start the game with 5 bonus skill points and 1 starter point, 6 in total, and my total skill points won't be limited to 76, now it will be limited to 81 total points. If I had completed the expedition before this window, I would have 10 bonus skill points. These are the things that you will keep permanently even if you choose not to do the next expedition. But you also get a temporary buff for completing the expedition. By temporary means you will have it until the next expedition, and if you do not continue your next expedition, you will lose this temporary buff. And this buff include 5% XP boost, 10% repair boost, 6% more scrappy materials. Also, one thing most people don't get about expedition is that if you start to play Ark Raiders today and start doing expedition, you'll be starting from the very first expedition, not the current one. But the time window remains the same for all the expeditions. Suppose as of making this video, third expedition has started. As I have completed the expression just once, and if I started doing this current expression as well, I'll be doing the second expression, and for the people who did both the first and second expression, they will be doing the third expression. So the materials required will vary based on which expression you are doing. It is a bit confusing, but the best way to differentiate it is this symbol above your head after completing the expression, which lets you know which expression you have completed. Let's understand a departure window. You can't go on an expression anytime you want. There are departure windows that open for about a week. You must manually register your radar during that window. If you miss it, you wait for the next one. And this is the important part. If you go on expedition consecutively, your temporary buff remains. If you miss a window, those temporary buff gets reset. Now let's learn how the skill points and catch-up system works. This was very confusing when they made changes and introduced points catch-up system, as most people were saying you can catch up to the people who did the first expedition if you just do this one. But it turns out to be wrong. As I've already said, no matter what expedition window you choose, if it's your first time doing expedition means you are doing the first expedition. This is the most important part. Before you depart, your stash value is evaluated. You earn 1 skill points per 600,000 stash value. You can get maximum of 5 skill points. So when you hear people saying that you need 3 million to do expedition, it is for the 5 bonus skill points. Also, it does not have to be just 3 million coins. You can combine your stash value with the total coins you have to add up to 3 million. Suppose you have 2.5 million coins and you have a stash value of 500k, that adds up to 3 million and you will get all 5 skill points. In simple terms, you are basically buying bonus skill points for 3 millions, costing 600k per 1 skill points. So if you have a total of 3 million, you get all 5 skill points. If you have less than 3 million, you get fewer skill points. But it doesn't mean that you can't do expedition if you don't have total of 3 million. You can still do it for those temporary buff and permanent stash upgrades. But in case you are not able to make 3 million and only get fewer than 5 skill points, that's where this new catch-up system comes in. If you missed skill points in a previous expedition, you can reclaim them later at a discounted price on current expedition. But you must first earn all 5 current skill points before reclaiming older ones. For example, Mr. Bandit is doing his first expedition. He completed all stages of the expedition, but during departure, he had only 1.8 million combined value of stash and coins. At a rate of 600k per skill points, Mr. Bandit will only be able to earn 3 bonus skill points on this first expedition, and he misses 2 points. But Mr. Bandit prepared himself for the second expedition as well, and he wants to catch up on his 2 lost bonus points from the previous expedition. In order to catch up on his 2 bonus points, Mr. Bandit must have combined value of 3 million coins for the 5 current points. Plus, if he wants to get his lost skill points, he can get them for a discounted price of 300k per skill points. So he will need an additional 600k for his lost skill points. So he must have 3.6 million to get 5 skill bonus points plus 2 lost bonus points from the previous expedition. So should you do expedition? Expedition is absolutely worth it if you have been grinding in the game a lot. Your stash value is close to 3 million, you're thinking long term, and you plan to keep playing consistently because the bonus skill points, stash space and stacking buff will snowball your account over time. But it's probably not worth it if your stash value is low, you don't want to grind all the materials and gear all over again, or you only log in casually like a working dad who gets a few hours on weekends and does not want to spend those hours rebuilding from scratch. Expedition rewards players who treat Arc Raiders like a long-term progression game, and it can feel punishing for those that are here for casual gaming and have a limited time to grind. Expedition is not a wipe, it's a strategic reset for long-term power, choosing to give up short-term comfort for long-term growth. Yes, your radar leaves, your level resets, and your stash is gone, but you're not starting over weaker. You're starting over smarter and stronger. Now that you understand how it works, you can decide when the timing is right for you. There's no rush, build your stash, prepare properly, and when you're ready, send your radar off, knowing it's not the end of your progress, it's the start of your next chapter.